Hey folks, Jackdaw here. There's been a lot of noise since Veilguard's release about the future of BioWare. With this being their last shot, can Mass Effect 5 stick the landing? Can the studio ever claw its way back to what it used to be? But while everyone's got their eyes pinned to what's next for BioWare proper, something else, something massive has been brewing on the side. And if you grew up on Mass Effect, Dragon Age, KOTOR, the golden age of BioWare games, you're going to want to pay attention. This is Exodus, the first proper successor built by the people who made BioWare what it was back when they were still allowed to do what they do best. Today we're digging into what Exodus is, who in particular is working on it, and why it might be the future BioWare fans have been waiting for. Alright, so what exactly is Exodus? At its heart, Exodus is a brand new, original sci-fi RPG, narrative-driven, choice-heavy, and painfully aware that time ruins everything. You play as Jun, a traveller, part scavenger, part explorer, and part reluctant heir to a dying world. Born with a rare gift, the ability to interact with celestial technology thanks to a bloodline that isn't entirely human. Set 40,000 years in the future, Exodus picks up after humanity abandoned Earth and scattered across the stars on Ark ships, searching for a second chance. Some could say it's quite similar to the initial plot of Mass Effect Andromeda. Some of these Ark ships arrived early, founding vast civilizations, and over millennia they changed, evolved, and became the Celestials. To us, they are alien, but to them, we are a reminder and a primitive echo of what they left behind. As Jun, your job is to sail the edge of lightspeed, scavenging lost remnants, these being relics of ancient civilizations, and bringing them home to Persepolis. Now for Jun, days pass for you, but back home, it's decades, it's centuries. Very much similar to the narrative beat of Interstellar. Civilizations rise and fall while you're still out there, and by the time you return, you might not even recognize what you left behind. And so Exodus, from a narrative point, is a game about legacy, about what you're willing to sacrifice for a future that you yourself might not see. We'll talk more on its story and world development in just a second, but what is most important and integral to us BioWare fans is the studio behind Exodus, known as Archetype Entertainment. Now, it's a completely new name, but this is BioWare old blood through and through. At the helm is James Olin. You'll know that name if you've spent any time with BioWare classics. Lead developer on Baldur's Gate, Knights of the Old Republic, Neverwinter Nights, and Dragon Age Origins. When people talk about BioWare's golden age, James is one of the guys who literally built it. And then, running narrative, we have Drew Karpyshyn, the lead writer of Mass Effect 1 and 2, also part of the writing team behind KOTOR and Baldur's Gate 2. This man literally gave us Commander Shepard, Reapers, and enough moral ambiguity to keep the fandom arguing for decades. And then there is Chad Robertson, a BioWare Austin veteran who oversaw Star Wars The Old Republic through some of its best live service years. Someone who knows how to actually ship and sustain big, complicated RPGs. These are just three of the people who built the BioWare most of us fell in love with. Not just studio veterans, but the actual architects of BioWare's best years. And crucially, they are not at Electronic Arts anymore. If you watched my recent Mass Effect video, you will know the problems that I talked about, the ones that could define the future of that series and actually BioWare itself. Now, Exodus is far removed from all of that. That means no executives breathing down their necks about microtransactions, no sudden reboots to chase the next live service trend, and no pipelines strangled by quarterly targets. Instead, they've got the backing of Wizards of the Coast, and while Wizards have had their share of corporate missteps and greed, Baldur's Gate 3, here we can see them doing something rare, handing out actual creative freedom and the money to be able to achieve what they aim to start. And this is the part that truly won me over, because James Olin, for his part, wasn't even planning to return to the industry. After years at EA, he walked away from games. Done, retired. It took an offer he literally couldn't refuse. Build a new RPG franchise with the promise of creative freedom and significant investment. A blank check, creatively speaking. And if you know what he and the team built last time he had that kind of freedom, you'll understand why that matters. Or if you have been following BioWare's story over the last decade, you know what happens when you don't get that. You end up with visionary teams trapped in cycles of abandoned ideas and corporate pivots, games gutted mid-development, stories suffocated by business models. You get the point. Exodus is what happens when you break that cycle. So a pretty good start already, but what kind of world are we stepping into? What is the lore, TLDR, and what about gameplay? Well, you can forget the familiar star charts of the Milky Way galaxy because you're heading for the Centauri cluster, a dense, volatile corner of space where the remnants of humanity washed up after Earth finally gave out. The Celestials rule vast stretches of space, these evolved descendants of humanity who no longer see us as kin. Some are imperial, others are downright cruel, and creatures like the Mara Yama don't just conquer, they just break civilizations for sport. Now, fortunately, role-playing is the heart of Exodus. Your actions ripple out through the world's leaders, alliances, and the people you leave behind. At the center of a large part of this narrative is your mentor, voiced by Matthew McConaughey, bringing even more interstellar energy to a story already obsessed with time, legacy, and loss. The lore of Exodus has also been built with the help of Peter F. Hamilton. That means heavy-duty, proper sci-fi world building, which means we can expect layers, ancient ruins, forgotten wars, abandoned arc ships, and worlds where you're just another ghost passing through. Just a quick breather before we continue with talking about Exodus and its story, but I've officially partnered with Apex Gaming PCs for my own custom lineup of pre-built PCs that you can totally check out for yourself. Whether you're new to gaming yourself, or you're streaming on the side, or you just want to be able to run the latest games on a high settings without cooking your entire GPU, there's a particular build for you. With Bronze, Streamer, and Streamer Plus, each sleek, powerful, and available with financing if needed. You can use the code Jackdaw at checkout to get 5% off right now, and you will of course find all of the links down below in the description. Let's get back to Exodus. As a result of time dilation, Exodus feels like it will be an RPG that remembers and respects your choices, which of course means bring on the choice disparity and all the pain that comes along with that. Combat itself is fast, tactical, brutal. You're rarely the strongest thing in the room. You'll be outgunned, outnumbered, and constantly scavenging celestial remnants, ancient alien relics barely understood, patched into human tech just well enough to give you a combat edge. And thanks to your celestial bloodline, you're not just your average scavenger. You're one of the very few who can interface with this technology. Neural induction lets you control what other humans can't. It makes you dangerous, and it makes you a target. Now, with this being your golden era of BioWare, you will not survive alone. You're gonna recruit smugglers, soldiers, exiles, all different types of companions with their own skills, loyalties, and scars. Some you'll fight beside, some you will lose. The only question I have for these new companions is romance on the cards. Every journey is a gamble, not just with your life, but with the future equally waiting back home. With that as a basic overview, I suppose finally, why should you in particular care about Exodus? Well, because for the first time in a long time, the people who literally used to build the best RPGs on the planet, they aren't just making a simple comeback, they're doing it without any demanding publication standing in their way. The last time they got this amount of freedom, we got KOTOR, we got Mass Effect 2, we got Dragon Age Origins. And so this time, we get to see what they build when nobody and nothing tells them no. And if you grew up with the likes of Garrus, Alistair or Morrigan, if you remember what it felt like to sit frozen at a dialogue choice that actually mattered, you already know enough why that's worth watching. So irrespective of the next Mass Effect and BioWare's future, as much as I do care about that, Exodus is actually one to be truly excited about, and it seems like we won't be waiting too long with its initial 2026 release window. Do let me know all of your thoughts down below on Exodus. Are you excited? What do you think about the potential of BioWare's golden era almost upon us, but now with Archetype leading that way? For the latest on Exodus and other RPGs like Fable and of course like the next Mass Effect game, you are already in the right place. I have been Jackdaw. Until the next one, I should go. Whoa, 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 whoa.